Hi, today I'm going to share with you my top 9 tips for getting started creating your operations manual for your company. My name is Josh Walton at Websites for Anything. I'm the president there. And we've been doing this for our company slowly over the past 3 or 4 years and a lot more rapidly in maybe the last year. And my first tip, I actually do remind myself of to apply it to getting started recording this very video, which is don't overthink it. Just get started. A training manual or an operations manual will absolutely benefit you and your employees as you build your company by allowing you to spend your time more efficiently. It's a fairly overwhelming investment at first blush, but it actually isn't. It will generally take you, after you've done maybe 5 or 10, it will take you no longer to record the video than it would to do the training. In fact, I would argue it takes less time than actually sitting and doing the training live. And we'll talk about some of that as we go, as I share some stories. But the first thing is don't overthink it, just get started. And the second one really ties into that, and that is capture the information however it is easiest for the expert. So the expert is probably going to be you, the first couple of ones that you do. But if you follow the Systemology book, and I do strongly recommend Systemology by David Jennings, Genyns. If you follow this book, you can get a lot of great principles. I'm going to talk about a lot of them here today. Do not go buy and read this book right now. Go back to point number 1. Don't overthink it. Just get started. Capture the information however is easiest for the expert. So for me, that's recording my screen, right? Because we do digital work. I don't need to be on camera like I am right now. It's easiest for me not to be on camera. I don't have to do my hair, right? I don't have to shave. I can just go. So do it that way. If you're in the field, if you're crawling in a crawl space or you're putting up a fence, turn your phone on and start recording. Record a video, talk through the process as the expert, explaining what you're doing and why you're doing it, how you're doing it. And that will tie quickly to number 3. Another way that you can do it is to talk to your phone. You don't actually have to record a video. So for example, you can record a phone call on your phone. Make sure you check whether that's legal where you live, if there's another party involved. But in most cases, I found that is legal, but talk to your attorney about that and basically just record. You can record a conversation happening with a prospect or a client, again, assuming that you have the legal right to do so, or you can just record yourself describing a process to your phone. That's a great way to do it. You can also sit down and write it on a piece of paper. You can type it into your computer, or your phone, right? Whatever the easiest way it is for you as the expert, or later we'll get into, again, having someone else on your team actually do a lot of this work, having that person who's the expert at what they do, record it however is easiest for them. Secondly, or I guess thirdly now, don't get too detailed, especially with a video. Even an audio recording. And the reason for that is that any video or audio recording or training that you record, it's going to age quickly. And the point of getting started here and not overthinking it is that you're probably going to build something that never stops being edited. And we're going to talk about number 4 here, which is converting it to a written or checklist. So that's kind of the next step. After you record it, however you record your work, then you or someone on your team is going to convert that into a written checklist. And the great thing about that is that means the video doesn't have to be in the perfect order, right? You don't have, it's okay if you wander off talking about an example for 30 seconds, right? And then kind of come back. Because someone's going to watch that video and turn it into, preferably someone on your team or someone you've hired for a special project of creating these, is going to turn that into writing. And that writing is going to put things in the right order for somebody coming through learning it the first time, or using it as a reference checklist if it's not specifically a new process training. And I will show you some examples from my own business here in just a second. But turn it into in fact, I can probably do that now, turn it into a written checklist. That is also means that you can come back 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, and add to that checklist, add something you forgot to put in the video and, make it bold or make it red or whatever. So turn it into a written checklist. Where you do that written checklist is entirely up to you. I would recommend doing it in some sort of cloud-based resource that people can mutually edit. So a very rudimentary way would be to use Google Drive or Dropbox and have each article that you're creating, each little process that you're documenting be a separate file. But we'll talk about that in a second. And then next is test and follow your own articles. So update them every time they need updated. After you record it and it gets written, then go back on the next job you do and follow your own written process. Because what you'll identify is things that you missed. things that you forgot to detail, or tips that you're like, wow, this needs to be in the operations manual. This needs to be in the article to say, don't forget this and don't forget that. That's okay. That's the beauty of not overthinking it, just getting started. It's very, very, very easy to edit compared to create something new. And so it will be very easy to go back and add a tip and add it. You do not need to re-record the whole video every time. I would not re-record a video until it's been at least a year since the first time you recorded it. Sometimes never. Most of the time, never, because your processes don't change that much. What you're really doing is adding one thing that you missed that's important, and so you want to make sure it's documented, and the occasional tip and trick and hint and troubleshooting thing, and you can add those at the bottom or in the logical steps. So test and follow your articles, and then keep updating them every time they need updated. Come back to that a little bit when we talk about I think it's number 7 here. The next one coming up is store your videos, especially if you are doing videos, where you control them. So we use Zoho's tools, and I can show you how we do that, but you can use Dropbox just as well. You can use Google Drive or something like that. We have a folder in our cloud called, we have a company folder, and then we have a learning folder, and then we have one that's called OM. That for us means operations manual, OM videos. And our videos go there. Now, in the past, we actually put them on YouTube, and you can do that, but what we ran into is some of our videos were, we actually created a separate channel that was, all those videos were put up as hidden. So you'd have to have the link directly to the video to watch the video. So a lot of the videos are there. The channel has basically no activity on it from the public view because every video I ever put on was hidden. But what we found is that when we started using examples that included clients' names and things like that, even though we didn't share any of their banking information or anything that wasn't publicly available, right? Even though we might just be sharing like their name and their address, which is publicly searchable information, we started getting our videos flagged. Those videos got flagged. And so we just decided it was better not to put them on YouTube, but to put them on our drive and then link them from there or whatever. Here's the thing, and this is really the next point. The article software that you use doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter whether you put this stuff into Google Drive or into Dropbox or what we use a wiki. And a tool like that. There are even custom tools. Systemology has their own custom tool that you can use. It doesn't matter what you do. The thing is that I would highly encourage you is to make sure that it's easy to search. So if someone is looking for how to set up my webmail, when they type webmail in, it should come up. And I only bring that up because what we originally did was we overly segmented it and we put things in 5 different buckets. And the tool we were using, when you searched, it only searched the bucket that you were in. It only searched the one. So eventually we had to combine them all into one so everything was easy to search. Second thing would be you want it to be easy to edit, but you really want it to be easy for somebody to just go in and add a line of text. I'm of the belief everybody on the team should be able to edit the wiki. If they're, the operations manual and its articles, if they're working on a process and they go, ooh, I need to put this in here because this is an important tip, or this is changed, or the button's been renamed. They should just be able to go in and make that quick edit. But there's going to be somebody on your team, maybe you originally if you're like a tech person, but if you're not, somebody else on your team who's doing the bulk of the edit, and you definitely want it to be something that's pretty easy for them to edit. That being said, all these digital tools nowadays, they're all pretty much the same. I think the key here is the software doesn't matter. Don't overthink it. Pick one and get started. It doesn't take a ton of time if you get 20 articles in to copy paste 20 articles. It doesn't take very long at all. Obviously, if you get 300 in, it might, but then you can determine how much of a saving that is, right? That's a very simple cost benefit analysis. Just get started. Wherever you put them, make sure that you keep each article separate in some way. So if you look here at our articles. The article I have on screen right now is our Getting Started article. This is something that's referenced. Basically, new team members are pointed to this directly. It's one of the first things they do. And in our training onboarding process, we actually tell them which ones to watch. But we have one article that's just a very high level, like, okay, these are the tools that we use. And there's like a video for every single tool. So if I go here to how we use our webmail and I click watch the video, this is one of the first ones I did. So it takes you to YouTube still, but you can see here on this video, I'm going to show them where to log in. I'm going to show them how to change some settings, right? And all of that is just pre-recorded in that video. I never have to go through that. Now, somebody will come back with a question, right, from time to time, or I may change how we want to do our signature. but I don't have to tell them how to edit the signature again. I can just go into this written article and edit the text and say, oh, we're now going to put in this tagline, or we want people to whatever. And so there's a whole, now this is a very large article. Most articles not be this large. But I just want to give you an example. Here's another article that we did. It's actually about how to record your screen. So we'll talk about that briefly while we're on the subject. So this is an example of an article that has a video at the top that shows you how to do it. It has step-by-step instructions, and that's it. Anybody can type in record or screen in the search box, and they will find this article in one of the top results, and they can watch someone from our team show them how to record their screen, right? Training, I never have to answer that question again. I can just say, no problem. I think there's an article on that in our training manual. Here's the link, or search it up this way. And I never have to have that discussion again. That technology will change a little bit, right? The button will move around, but anybody you're hiring should be able to figure out if things have changed a little bit, or get that clarification in a matter of 1 or 2 of their minutes, or maybe 1 or 2 of somebody else's on your team minutes. You don't have to repeat that training. Isn't that awesome? What you can use to record your screen. So you can use screen recording software like what I'm using here today that you can purchase. I'm using something called ManyCam, but you can also use software such as Zoom. And I'll explain that in just a second after I get back from this call that's interrupting me. So as you can see, technology that lets you pause your recording is great, but not necessary. You can, there's a variety of ways to overcome that. Don't overthink it. You can record a Zoom call, and that's a great way for a lot of folks is to, most of your recordings are going to be 5 or 10 minutes, especially the first ones you do, because you should be sticking to an overview. You should be keeping it short. And so you can go on a Zoom call all by yourself and just click record. And there's other software out there for recording your screen, like Loom is a very popular one. My recommendation is anything that allows you to download it and then put it into your cloud storage so you can link it from there, so you don't ever lose it or have to keep paying for some subscription. But even those subscriptions aren't terribly expensive, and the value they provide is very good. And then my next tip is do one flow at a time. So try to stick to one process. So the Systemology book, again, that recommends doing it based on the customer flow, but that's a little bit of a bigger scope than I want to talk about here in this video. I want to talk about just getting started. So one flow might be, okay, when I onboard somebody new, they always have to learn about these 10 tools. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and record 3 to 10 minute videos explaining how to set up the tool the first time for each one, right? Or how to use it for the first 3 days. Just like, here's how to send an email. Here's how to find emails from past customers, right? Something like that. Just do one flow at a time, one sort of a series of related topics. And don't try to, tackle a whole bunch of things at once. This is going to take time. As you do what's going to save you time today, right? Do what's going to mean, okay, next month I will be done talking about this topic over and over and over again. And then after you've done 10 or so articles, 10 or more articles, then do go ahead and read the book Systemology by David Jenyns, David Jenyns. It is a great book. It is essentially, if you've ever read the E-Myth, Systemology is how to realistically, practically apply the E-Myth principles of working on your business, not in your business of building those systems. So I'm going to continue to share just a couple of other things that we've done that I had pulled up on my screen in case they're helpful. We have an article that we eventually developed that we use internally that is how to create an article. I don't think that's super helpful. In fact, I kind of wish I could undo that. No, that's it. Those are my 9 tips for how to get started creating a training manual. Record. Just don't overthink it. Just get started. Capture information however is easiest for the expert. In the first case, probably you, but very quickly you will want to start having other people on your team as the experts record how they do things. Don't get too detailed. Stick to an overview. Then number 4, convert it to a written checklist. Number 5, test and follow your own articles. Use those checklists for yourself. That will help you spot gaps, correct and improve processes, and keep your articles current. And store your videos somewhere that you control them. The article software you use doesn't matter. Make sure it's easiest to search, and then try to categorize and group things. Give them good searchable titles. Do one flow at a time. Don't jump all over your business. Stick to new employee onboarding or training for X position, or how to do this job. And then after you've done 10 articles to get started, after you've recorded and written them up, read Systemology. It really will help you take a lot of that off of your plate. It does not need to be you as the business owner doing a lot of that work. You can teach your team to do it, and in fact, they will do a better job than you in the long run. And of course, it allow you to scale as with everything in your business. So those are my 9 tips for getting started with recording training. Hope it helped.